Lieutenant Governor was extremely open in our interview talking about this. And Aruna Miller came to this country as an immigrant, spoke no English. That's hard enough. But on top of that, her father was battling a mental illness that took a toll on the family.
Just like myself, just about everybody has been touched by mental health disorder, whether it's at a personal level or someone that we know that we love.
For Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, that someone was a central figure in her life.
Ever since I was a child, I've been touched by it, by the fact that my father suffered from bipolar disorder.
Not as much was known about mental health when Ram Kadragada immigrated to this country from India. Miller describes as a young child thinking it was normal the extreme highs and lows her father would go through.
There'd be times when he would be manic and up all night for several days, calling people, very charismatic guy, knew exactly how to talk to people, just amazing. And then all of a sudden he would crash and he wouldn't talk to anybody for weeks on end, just sleep. And that's how I grew up, my siblings and I.
Ram's mental illness greatly affected the stability of the family. Miller says it's a feeling that sticks with you.
During the moments when he had his depression part of the bipolar disorder, he wouldn't go to work. And I remember his employer would be calling, hey, how come, Rao didn't show up to work? And we didn't know what to say.
He lost his job and more.
When you lose your job, you lose a certain part of dignity in you. He lost a lot of friends. And again, none of us really understood what he was going through.
Ram was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when Miller was a young adult and continued to struggle the rest of his life. Now, as his daughter takes the role of Maryland's lieutenant governor, she's using her platform to help erase the stigma and shame that she knows so well.
Bring mental health into the sunlight. That there shouldn't be a stigma associated with it, that this isn't a moral failure on the individual. This is a chronic health condition, just like any other health condition an individual may face.
Miller says sharing her story publicly is the first step into that light.
This is something that one individual shouldn't have to deal with privately, but we should talk about it openly and collectively and how the community can help.
Aruna Miller's father passed away in 1999, but she says she believes he would be very proud, not just of her political career, but of her willingness to talk about his struggle with mental health. She believes having a society more willing to talk about mental health would be a huge step forward.